Look,
The market
I
is
want you
reacting
to
to the
imagine
news.
something for
We
a
need to
second.
adjust our
You're
positions.
sitting at your desk
Let's review
on
the
a
risk
Tuesday
metrics.
afternoon at
23 years,
2:47
can you believe
p.m.
it? All
Your
those
manager
reports,
just
all
sent you
that
another
time.
email
And
with
for
the
what?
subject
This
line,
number?
quick
Welcome.
question,
Today we're
that
exploring
you
investment
know
principles.
isn't
The
quick
key
at
is
all.
compound interest. See
You've
how it
got
grows? This
23
principle can
years
build your
until you can
wealth.
touch your 401k without penalties. 23 years. You're doing the math in your head right now,
This
and it
could be
feels
you. With the right knowledge
suffocating.
and tools, you can
And here's
achieve
what kills
financial
me.
success.
You're
Let's
probably
get
making
started.
decent money.
Subscribe now and get daily financial
$75,000,
wisdom
maybe
delivered to your
$120,000
inbox.
a
Don't
year.
miss out on
You're
expert
not
insights.
struggling, but you're also not anywhere close to being able to walk away from that job. And the retirement
What is this
calculators,
error?
they're telling
Why
you that
won't
if you
you work?
save
This is
15% of your
ridiculous.
income,
I
you'll
can't
be able
take
to
this.
retire comfortably at 65. That's the traditional plan. That's what we've been sold. But here's the thing. There's a completely different game being played that almost nobody talks about, and it has nothing to do with working until you're 65. My name is Nate, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people stay trapped in jobs they hate when the math to escape is actually pretty straightforward. If you're someone who makes a decent income but feels like you're somehow running in place financially, or if you've ever thought there has to be a faster way to do this than working for 40 years, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're talking about something specific, how to actually stop working in 10 years. Not retire comfortably at 65, not maybe semi-retire if everything goes perfect, but legitimately build enough wealth in a decade that you never have to work another day in your life if you don't want to. And I know what you're thinking. Nate, that sounds like one of those clickbait finance gurus selling me a course. But here's the difference. We're going to do actual math. We're going to talk about the psychological barriers that keep people stuck. And we're going to talk about why this is actually easier than you think, but harder than you want it to be. Here's what most people don't realize. The entire concept of retirement that we've been taught is a relatively new invention, and it was never designed for you to actually enjoy your life. The modern retirement age of 65 was established in Germany in 1889 by Otto von Bismarck. You know what the average life expectancy was in Germany at that time? About 40 years old. Think about that. They set the retirement age at a point most people would never reach. That was the actual plan. Create a retirement system that most people would pay into their entire lives but die before they could use. Now, life expectancy has nearly doubled, but we're still using the same retirement framework. The average American will spend the last 20 years of their life retired, when they're older, have less energy, and honestly, less ability to enjoy the money they spent 40 years accumulating. Here's a statistic that should make you angry. According to the Social Security Administration, the average 65-year-old man can expect to live until about 84. The average 65-year-old woman will live until about 87. So you spend 40 to 45 years working, and you get maybe 20 years of freedom when you're old? Look, I'm not saying getting old is bad, but here's the question nobody asks. What if you could have those 20 years of freedom when you're 35 to 55 instead? When you have the energy to hike Patagonia, learn to surf, start that business you've been thinking about, or just spend time with your kids while they're still kids. This is where it gets really interesting. There's a concept that changed everything for me, and it comes from a book called Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. They ask this simple question: how much of your life energy are you trading for money? Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you make $75,000 a year. After taxes, you're taking home about $55,000. You work about 2,080 hours per year, 40 hours a week for 52 weeks. So your real hourly rate is about $26.44, right? Wrong, because you're not accounting for all the hidden costs of your job. The commute, let's say 45 minutes each way, that's 7.5 hours a week, or 390 hours a year. The work clothes you have to buy, the lunches out because you're too tired to pack, the expensive vacation you need because you're burned out, the takeout on Wednesday nights because you don't have energy to cook. When you account for all of that, your real hourly rate might be closer to $18. You're trading an hour of your life for $18. And here's the kicker. You're going to do this for 40 years to accumulate enough money to stop doing it. There has to be a better way. Now you might be thinking, okay, Nate, I get it. The traditional plan sucks, but I can't just quit my job. I have bills. And you're absolutely right. This is where we need to talk about the actual math of early retirement, because once you see these numbers, you can't unsee them. Here's the core principle that the entire FIRE movement is built on: financial independence, retire early. Your retirement date isn't determined by your age. It's determined by one thing: the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Let me show you what I mean by this. There's this concept called the 4% rule, which comes from the Trinity study done by 3 professors at Trinity University in 1998. They analyzed historical stock market returns and found that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio each year, adjusted for inflation, you have a 95% chance of your money lasting 30 years or more. So here's the simple math. Take your annual spending and multiply it by 25. That's your money to retire. If you spend $40,000 a year, you need $1 million. If you spend $60,000 a year, you need $1.5 million. If you spend $80,000 a year, you need $2 million. But here's where this gets absolutely wild. The amount you need doesn't go up with your income. It goes up with your spending. And your savings rate, the gap between earning and spending, determines how fast you get there. Let me show you a table that blew my mind when I first saw it. This is based on research from Mr. Money Mustache, and it assumes you're investing your savings and getting about a 7% real return after inflation. If you save 10% of your income, you can retire in 51 years. If you save 25% of your income, you can retire in 32 years. If you save 50% of your income, you can retire in 17 years. If you save 65% of your income, you can retire in 10.5 years. If you save 75% of your income, you can retire in 7 years. Look at that. This is the thing that most people never realize. Your retirement timeline isn't a slow, gradual slope. It's exponential. The difference between saving 10% and 25% of your income isn't a 15% faster retirement. It's 19 years faster. The difference between 50 and 65 is almost 7 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nate, I can't save 65% of my income. That's insane. And here's where I'm going to challenge you. Can't you? Or is it just that you've never really tried? Here's the thing nobody talks about when it comes to early retirement. It's not about the math. The math is easy. The hard part is rewiring your entire relationship with money, and that's psychological. There's this incredible book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and he makes this point that completely changed how I think about wealth. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Think about that for a second. How much of your spending is actually about signaling to other people? The new car lease, the fancy apartment in the trendy neighborhood, the designer clothes, the expensive restaurants you post on Instagram. Here's a statistic that should terrify you. According to a study by Willis Towers Watson, 78% of full-time workers in America are living paycheck to paycheck. This includes people making $100,000, $150,000, even $200,000 a year. The median household income in the U.S. is about $75,000, and yet, somehow, the average household is carrying $145,000 in debt. This isn't a math problem. This is a psychological problem. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this. I have a friend, we'll call him Marcus, who makes about $140,000 a year as a software engineer. Great salary, right? He should be crushing it financially, but Marcus is broke. He's got a $650 a month car payment on a BMW. He rents a $2,400 a month apartment because it's important to live somewhere nice. He goes out to eat 12 to 15 times a week because cooking is a waste of time. He takes 2 big vacations a year because you have to enjoy life. His monthly expenses are about $7,800. His monthly take-home after taxes and 401k is about $7,900. Marcus is making almost $12,000 a month and saving $100. Now contrast that with my other friend, Jamie. Jamie makes $78,000 a year as a teacher. She lives in a modest $1,100 a month apartment with a roommate. She meal preps on Sundays. She takes one vacation a year, usually camping or visiting friends. Her monthly expenses are about $2,200. Her monthly take-home is about $4,600. She's saving $2,400 every single month. In 10 years, if Marcus continues on his path, he'll have maybe $120,000 saved, if he's lucky, and doesn't have any emergencies. Jamie will have over $350,000, possibly closer to $450,000 if she's investing it properly. Who's winning? Here's what most people don't realize. There are two ways to get wealthy. You can earn more or you can need less. And needing less is 100% in your control right now, today. All right, let's get tactical. You want to retire